Hi there, and welcome to Ian's Engage channel. I'm Ian. In a previous video I showed how I'd begun to work on the second section of the tricky bit. In this video I'm going to show how I created a template for the points, to make it easier and faster to fix them to the baseboard. When laying points there are quite a few things to consider, including where the frog wire is located and where the tie bar is. Using the point itself to mark positions for drilling holes and cutting point rodding channels can be difficult, as the point itself obscures where to place the markings. Having a template of the point with appropriate cutouts would solve this problem, as it could be used to make marks directly onto the baseboard without having to temporarily fix the point to the baseboard first. To begin the process of creating the template, I first needed to create the basic shape of the point. To do this, I used my track design software, which is Rail Modeler Pro on the Mac. First, I created a new layout, albeit a very small layout. Then I selected a medium radius unifrog point from the track list and placed it onto my layout. This would be the basis for the template. I intended to cut out the template using my Cricut machine, and this required that a silhouette of the point be created in order for it to work. This was quite simple to achieve by changing the colour of the point to black. I then exported the silhouette as an image. Remembering to select the transparent background option. Before leaving Rail Modeler Pro, I noted down the dimensions of the point as displayed in the information panel, as these would be required later. We now had our basic shape and could start to add some details to it. However, before we could do that, we needed to measure where those details were on an actual point. So, I got out the ruler and measured where the point tie bar was located. Followed by where the frog wire was located. I noted the measurements so I could refer to them later. Just in case I'd made a mistake, I checked the measurements again. Measure twice, cut once being a good maxim. The next stage was to load the silhouette of the point into the free vector drawing application, Inkscape. I used the import function to do this. I then converted the resulting image into a path using the trace bitmap function. This creates a new object, so the old image can be deleted. The new object can be manipulated using other objects, but first I needed to ensure that the object was the correct size. I did this by entering the dimensions I'd noted down from Rail Modeler Pro. I then created a couple of 3mm square boxes. And then a circle with a radius of 4mm. I changed their colours to differentiate them from the black template. These elements were then subtracted from the template at the locations I'd measured for the point tie bar and the frog wire. As you can see, I created temporary shapes to help me position the object correctly. Eventually the template was created and could be saved. I saved it as an SVG file, so it could be used in the software required to drive the Cricut machine. When using the Cricut machine, you need to mount the material you're cutting onto a sticky cutting mat. 3 grip strengths are available, which are light, standard and strong. For cutting 2mm greyboard with a knife blade, the strong grip mat was recommended, but I'd had poor results when using the mat on its own. Therefore, I always use masking tape to further adhere the material to the mat. This usually worked really well, although you had to be careful not to leave any loose ends of masking tape, otherwise they had a tendency to wrap around the roller mechanism of the Cricut machine, which caused the cut to fail. The software needed to drive the Cricut machine is called Design Space, which is a truly awful application. Once I'd gone through the rigmarole of importing the template, I started a new project. I then needed to check my point was the correct size, as Design Space had a tendency to unexpectedly resize things for you when using SVG files. Once that was done, I pressed the Make button. I then needed to go through more rigmarole of selecting the material size, which was always A4 for me, but always defaulted to the size of the cutting mat. I could then position my shape on the virtual cutting mat, making sure I was away from the edges where I'd placed the masking tape. I could then select the material. I chose heavy chipboard, which is how Greyboard is known in America. Of course, here in the UK, chipboard is quite a different material. I could now load up the Cricut machine with the previously prepared cutting mat and press the Go button, so cutting could commence. Design Space then told me it would take 6 minutes to complete the cut, when it actually took just over 20 minutes. I filmed the whole process, but have sped it up considerably, as it wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Once the Cricut machine had done its thing, I removed the cutting mat and took it to my workbench. I then carefully removed the masking tape. Then gently removed the template from its greyboard surroundings. I then offered up an actual point to the template and was very pleased to see that the tie bar and frog wire holes lined up perfectly. Now that I had the template, I thought I'd have a go at using it. I'd already glued some cork to a piece of XPS foam and used a Sharpie marker pen to mark the pertinent parts of the point onto the cork. And that was quite difficult to see. I then drilled a hole where the frog wire would go. Finally, I fixed a point in place using staples so that it was aligned with the markings. Okay, so that's about it for this update. I realise that it's not solving a huge problem, it is more of an object of convenience, as having a template definitely speeds up the process of securing points to the baseboard and takes all of the guesswork out of the process of locating the frog wire. I'll probably make the tie bar holes a little wider in the next version of the template, but other than that, I was very pleased with how the template has turned out. Let me know what you think, and tell me how you ensure that point rodding channels and dropper wire holes are located into the correct positions for your points. Alternatively, if you've got any hints, tips, useful tools or techniques to pass on to a fellow N-Gage modeller, or if you simply want to say hello, then please do so in the comment section. Anything and everything you've got to say will be greatly appreciated. In the meantime, thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have another update on my progress soon. Bye.